What's going on, people? What's really good? It's your boy Marvelat, and this is the Nerds in the Hood. Folks, 2025 is starting off pretty well right now. So many cool things happening. Uh, Abbott Elementary crossover just finished. I just saw that. Saw a couple of other good shows that are coming out. Movies is getting ready to come out in the next month or two with the Captain America and all that stuff. But they just finished a What If TV show. But I'm not here to talk about them. I'm not here to talk about Marvel. This is not a Marvel video. Marvel is cooking right now in the video game world and about to get the movies back on, the TV shows. But DC had themselves a 2024, y'all. We can't act like they didn't. The Penguin was fire. Colin Farrell won an award for the Penguin, which once again proves what I've always been thinking. You can live long enough to, well, you know what? Let me rephrase that because of past events. But you ain't gonna win an award if you play a superhero. I'm just being real. Not a lot of people won awards being Batman. Not a lot of people won awards being Superman, from what I know. Angela Bassett almost won an award for being a Marvel good guy, but she didn't win, unfortunately. So it's not. I don't think I can recall anybody that really won an award for playing a superhero, from my knowledge. But three, right? Three, two or three people. I at least know two won an award for playing the Joker: Joaquin Phoenix and Heath Ledger. Rest in peace. And Penguin just won a Golden Globe. So Joaquin Phoenix and Heath Ledger are Academy Award winners for playing the Joker. Colin Farrell won a Golden Globe for playing the Penguin. Bad guys doing their thing. Batman bad guys. Shout out again. But we got to talk about some more Batman-esque type bad guys. But anyway, like I said, 2024 was the year of DC. Kite Man Hell Yeah came out. Joker came out to a big amount of mixed reviews. People was not feeling it. Some people were. I was okay with it. But at the end of the day, James Gunn kickstarted the DCU. The James Gunn era of the DCU starts now with Creature Commandos. If you didn't see this show, what are you doing? You're bugging. Go watch this show. I know what you're thinking at the crib. You're like, yo, DC been trash lately with their TV shows. Marv, what's going on? Now, to be fair, when it comes to DC animation has been okay. Harley Quinn is a funny show. Kite Man is actually not a bad show. Those shows are funny. Young Justice was okay. Season 4 was a bit of a letdown, but Young Justice was aight. You know what I'm saying? So their anime shows are okay. Creature Commandos, however, is the start to a canonically moving universe. You know what I mean? It's canon in the universe of DCU. And what I like about it is that it's canon to a live action universe. That is fire to me. Granted, Marvel did What If, and What If, told us the story of the evil Doctor Strange and told us the story of Captain Peggy Carter. And then those two became live action people in their own right in the same movie. But that's not really the same thing because they're both, deceased in certain universes. But what I am saying here is that in a world last year where we had shows like My Adventures with Superman pull up and hit the 3. We had Hitmonkey pull up and hit the 3. We had X-Men 97 pull up and hit the 3. We had What If make a layup if they were open. But Creature Commandos did a Steph Curry half-court shot, did the Dame Lillard from the logo with the wave to let Marvel know, fam, your reign on the top is short like Leprechaun. Yes, I'm reciting Biggie because that's how real this is right now. Listen, if you haven't seen this show, spoilers ahead of always. Appreciate you watching the show, but there's spoilers ahead. This show is basically a continuation of the events of the Suicide Squad reboot that Gunn did and Peacemaker, which Gunn also did. So it's weird because you want to say that Creature Commandos kickstarted the DCU, but there's also an argument I can say that the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker was low-key the start of the DCU. It's too much arguing. But What I do know is that this was a show just basically about his phase one era, which is known as Gods and Monsters. Creature Commandos obviously are playing the monsters, where when Superman comes out, Superman is going to play a god. And what's crazy about this is it's such a contrast of what I saw in this show. Because when you watch shows like Batman, Cape Crusader, or any type of Batman, Batman is always looked at in an in-between kind of vibe. He's looked at as a god, but sometimes he's looked at as a monster because he gets people to fear him, so they don't do stupid stuff again, but they usually don't listen. Whereas Superman is a god because even though they don't fear him because he's a nice guy, when they fight him, they're like, "Oh, this dude is wild, strong. My bad, king. My bad." So I like this phase because now you're introducing these characters who aren't Batman, who aren't Superman, who aren't Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman, the usual suspects. And you're giving us the Bride of Frankenstein. You're giving us a girl simply named Nina. You know, right? Her name is Nina, right? Yeah. Dr. Phosphorus, the Weasel, G.I. Robot, and Frankenstein. You're giving us these people, and they are lovable losers. And I think that's what I love about it the most is that a lot of them went to jail when they probably shouldn't have. Now, granted, Dr. Phosphorus, yes, he did get revenge. He got revenge. He unalived somebody, and then he ended up taking over the underground of Gotham. And yes, he should go to jail for that. Batman got him. He should go to jail. The Bride did some messed up stuff too. She should go to jail. Nina went to jail just for being herself. She was just a bad product of experiments that helped her become who she really was. And she went to jail for no reason. Her dad, we believe from what we saw in the backstory, passed away. And she suffered for that. And at the end of it all, she died. She died in the whole story. You know, and Weasel also didn't need to go to jail because Weasel was saving kids, but because he can't talk and he looks and he's just a grown weasel, he's a man weasel, people just thought like, oh man, this guy's scary. But he's not. He's actually just a kind-hearted animal. So these are the moments where it's like because they're monsters, you can't tell if they're heroes. You just see a monster and you don't want nothing to do with them. And they treat them so bad. They were racist towards these people. Nina got treated with so much racism that she just ended up just giving into it. She would just talk to people and be like, and they would be like, "Ribbit, bitch," and she was like, "Ribbit." Like it was nothing she could do. She just wanted to be a chick that liked to play lacrosse, just a regular high school girl, play lacrosse, grow up, and live a regular life. And we didn't even know she had powers outside of just being able to live underwater. That was her only power. She didn't have no other power, but her power just came from like just she was just such a nice person, and that one really hurt. Her dad wanted her to know that you're just the best thing that ever happened, and he couldn't even tell her because the cops thought that I guess he was trying to help her. I don't. Nobody knows. Cops be doing wild stuff, especially in the DC universe. So I love this show, but I loved it more because it showed continuity. For example, trying to remember a homie's name, but a homeboy that was in he was in Peacemaker, and he was like one of like the main like I think he was like one of the guys. Let me see if I get his name. I should have his name. I apologize, people. I'm gonna get it right now. Only take me but a moment. Okay, his name was simply John, so I'm bugging. His name was John Economos, right? He was one of the people that helped, Peacemaker save the world, basically, right? And we saw this in Peacemaker. He was one of the people that helped Peacemaker save the world, and he suffered an injury due to helping out in the war against the aliens in the end of Peacemaker. The continuity I'm talking about is one of those examples right there. Because in Creature Commandos, he's in it. He's helping Amanda Waller still to this day, and he's still injured. And they drew it into the cartoon. He's still injured. Rick Flag, the guy who voices Rick Flag, is currently in a coma in the Creature Commandos show. He's not dead, but he's hanging on. So we're assuming by Peacemaker, season 2, he should be alive and kicking and be looking for Peacemaker. And when he does look for Peacemaker, because Peacemaker, unfortunately, is the one who bodied Rick Flag Jr., we will know that Rick Flag is still alive, but you'll see him in live action, which to me is kind of fire. It's kind of fire to just see a cartoon just out of nowhere pull up, and now they're a live action character. Like, yo, in the same universe as the live action show. So I am looking forward to all of this mayhem and monstrosities that is going to be happening in the chapter of Gods and Monsters. We got Batman the Brave and the Bold coming. We got Lanterns coming. We got so many different things coming that by the time he probably hits a phase 2, I'm going to be an old man, but I'm going to be sitting there like, man, I sure love this DC shows. That's how I'm trying to be. I am loving this war that's pulling up right now with DC and Marvel. DC was losing this war for many years, right? Iron Man was just falling off. And I love the fact that they went back and got Robert Downey Jr. I'm not saying Iron Man fall off. That's the wrong choice of words. What I am saying is that Robert Downey Jr. came back and said, yo, let's win this war again. I'm right. Let's run it back. I'll play another character. Fine. Let's run it back. And the people that they knew why, because James Gunn came off of making 3, count them, 3 good Guardians of the Galaxy movies. The trilogy was fire. And your man's left and said, I'm about to run DC and we're going to make DC crazy good. You saw what I did with those first 3 Guardians of the Galaxies, right? Imagine what I'm going to do with any of these other characters. He wrote Creature Commandos. He's playing a part, I believe, writing Superman's movie, and he's going to probably do the rest. And each one is going to be fire because James Gunn has done a good job so far with superhero adaptations. So we have reason to believe that Creature Commandos season 1, and then when season 2 comes out, it's going to be just as fire. Now, this was a 7-episode series, but I will say it didn't have a lot of fights. They had probably 2 or 3 fights, really, when you really think about it, actual fights. It was 2 fights that I really had to zero in on. One was Dr. Phosphorus versus Rick Flag, which was a really good fight because when he fought Frankenstein, he got washed. But it was a really good fight between Rick Flag and Dr. Phosphorus. He was holding his own against a guy who could literally burn his body alive and melt it. Second one was Homegirl from Themyscira, or if her name was Themyscira, whatever, versus the Bride. That was a really good fight. The Bride was putting in the work for a woman who couldn't fly. And she was making Themyscira eat that to get the W. Can I just also say that the Bride, to me, is looking like she's going to be one of the MVPs of the DCU. Just saying. We always look to Batman. We always look to Harley Quinn. We always look to Superman. Even Wonder Woman. But I feel like the Bride is here. She is here. She is putting in the work. And I hope to see her in more projects than just Creature Commandos. Maybe she finds a way in Peacemaker. And that's what makes me so excited. Because we got to see the Weasel in the Suicide Squad reboot. And now we got to see the Weasel animated. So that's one thing. But to see the Bride pull up and live action, to see Dr. Phosphorus pull up in live action, and to see G.I. Robot, who got a massive upgrade and now looks like the Iron Giant, get a live action adaptation version is going to be fire. And they should be voiced by the same people. Speaking of which, when it comes to voices, I've said this numerous times, but Alan Tudyk, and I know I'm killing your last name, but you know who you are. I'm going to put a picture next to you so people know who you are. You, sir, are a legend. I've seen you voice many of characters, and this is some of your finest work. You voiced Clayface in the Harley Quinn cartoon, and then you voiced Clayface in Creature Commandos, 2 different versions of him, and did a funny job and a good job on both shows. Dr. Phosphorus, you're doing a good job as that. You did a good job in Resident Alien. You are a legend, sir. You should get your flowers in the mail, courtesy of Nerds in the Hood. Now, what I feel is that I know there was lessons in this. And I know the lessons were supposed to be coming about just like not being a monster and sometimes serving a greater purpose in life than what society puts on you. But what I do want to say is, and Feel free to write in the comments about this. Who do you think had the best, not the best, we shouldn't say the best, saddest backstory? I want to think like One Piece. So One Piece is known for really tragic and sad backstories. And we always have those conversations. Who had the saddest backstory? It usually comes down to like Robin and Brooke and Chopper. And Nami will probably be a close fourth. But right here, right now. Oh no, Sanji. Anyway, different conversation. Who had the saddest backstory? So for me, I really gotta say the saddest backstory in Creature Commandos. And this is tough because there's two that I'm really like, there's two that I'm really sitting on. And it's Nina's backstory because of what ended up happening at the end, and Weasel's backstory. Um, oh man. Weasel's backstory actually almost made me cry. Nina's was tough. I'm gonna say Weasel's was the saddest because Weasel's was so misunderstood because he can't speak, and Nina's was just tough because it was more about racism and them just treating her like trash because he was different. Um, but Weasel's, man, he was just trying to save some kids from a burning building, and he couldn't save them. And when he was screaming and he was making a noise like trying to get the cops' attention that there are kids that are alive down there and we need to save them, he couldn't because he can't speak like a human being. And his mind is more animal than it is human. And he couldn't say the words needed to save these kids' lives. And the cops took him instead of the kids, and the kids are gone. And it was so, to me, it was the saddest backstory. Nina's is a really right there runner up. And GI Robots is tough because he went off of what he was programmed to do, which is take out Nazis, and he didn't know the difference sometimes. And it was really tough thinking that he still had those friends, and a lot of those friends were gone because of the war and repercussions of the war and stuff like that. He lived through a lot. I mean, he went through so many wars, and he's 2024. He still survived. So it's like his was like third place in the Dr. Phosphorus. If we went in that order, that's where we're at with the backstories. Saddest backstories. We had the best fight. David Harbour jumping from the DCU to the MCU. My boy, welcome to the club. You joined a wide list of people who have jumped from DC movies to Marvel movies, including Ben Affleck, Ryan Reynolds, that kid who I don't know his name right now, but he was in the Penguin. He was also in the Runaways. A lot of different people have jumped ship from one to the other. But you, my friend, playing the Red Guardian, and we're going to see you in Thunderbolts later this year, and you start in the year and end in 2024, playing the Red Guardian again in What If, and playing Frankenstein. Flowers, my boy, flowers. You did your thing. You're doing your thing. We got to shout out these people that are jumping and playing both sides. It's like when you watch wrestling and somebody's like in WWE and then you see them go to the AEW like the same night. Who did that back in the day? My man Rick Rude did that. That's a little throwback for y'all wrestling fans. Anyway, verdict time. Let's talk verdicts. Let's talk the verdict. What do we think of season 1? I think we know the answer, but we got to just say it anyway. You know what? Yeah, real quick, running down the list. You know what? Y'all know the list. I'm going to put it right here. Okay? Y'all going to see it. You're going to see what the list is looking like. Y'all know the vibes already. It's 2025. We're going to cut to the chase. This show is valid. It is a valid show. You need to watch it. 7 episodes, not too long, no more than 30 minutes. Each one of them just as good as the last one. This is a great way to start off the DCU. I would say this ain't ether yet. In the disc battles, this ain't ether. This ain't ether. But it's a start. It was like one of those first Kendrick songs when you first was like, oh, he's really about to come at Drake. Okay, I see. It was like what was the one from the Future joint? You know that one. But it was one of those Kendrick songs where it was just like, just kind of coming for Drake, but he's not going full throttle just yet. You feel me? That's what I like about this. James Gunn just came out as light with just Creature Commandos. but it gives you such a strong hope and such strong anticipation and trust that Superman and every other project that he does down the line for the DCU is going to be just as valid as Creature Commandos. Enough said. Anyway, folks, we're going to catch you next time on another episode of Her Nerds in the Hood. Please follow on all social media. Check the link tree below in the description. Check out all the content I make. We do anime rap intros. We do anime ending intros. We got so much more videos on the way. So stick around. Nerds in the Hood. Off this. Peace.